So we got some smoky scotch, some peaty scotch, some Lafroig, which we all love. And then we have some smoky mezcal here.
I heard you almost named your future child Lafroig, right? Wasn't that name in the running?
I thought you were gonna say mezcal. I was like, that's retarded.
But how was it gonna be?
No, my wife was like, "You sure you don't want to name him Lafroig?"
That's how much we drink this stuff. It's great. It's great.
No, but
So which are we trying first?
either one, man. The brown one is we're not comparing them. We're just fucking drinking them. It's just for fun.
Yeah.
The brown one is scotch, obviously, and the clear one's mezcal. The clear one, the mezcal is machetazo, and then Lafroig is, of course, our favorite Isla.
I think I'm gonna start with the Lafroig just because I know what that is. Just get the base and then get into the mezcal.
I thought it'd be interesting. Marlon and I were talking about it once. How obviously in mezcal's from Mexico, they speak Spanish. Compared to English, where they speak English in Scotland, a lot of like the colloquialisms that they use in Mexico, a lot of like the sayings that they have in Mexico, and how they translate into English is just kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah, definitely. There's some weird ones out there, man. Like the one that always gets me, and it's always a bit, but it just rolls out the tongue. Is when you use the word verga, which is to refer to a man's genitals, to be scientific about it.
You've heard of that word, right, Jimmy? You've heard of the word
penis.
verga?
I thought it was Berga.
The word is verga, but there's several sayings, like when you're in shock.
To the dick.
To the dick. A la verga.
Yeah, a la
which literally means to the dick.
To the dick.
To the dick.
That's a surprising way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else is more surprising than something flying to your
Yeah,
penis?
yeah, well, if somebody whipped out a dick right now, I'd be very
To the dick.
yeah. Or you can tell somebody to go to the dick. If you're mad at them, you're vete a la verga. Like, that's
Like, go
get
to
the fuck
the
out of here.
dick.
Go to the dick.
It almost sounds like a cheers. Like,
Yeah, vete a
to
la-
the dicks!
Yeah,
boys!
Let's go. I love
You could
verga.
also, this mezcal is machetazo, right? You can also give somebody a vergazo, which is like you smack somebody with your dick, dude. You just give them a vergazo, But you don't say it that way. You don't say like, I'm gonna slap you with my dick, literally. It's like, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking face, bro. I'm gonna give you a vergazo right now,
You know what, bro? I'm gonna punch you in the face with my
I'm gonna
dick.
fucking sock you with this dick, dude.
And maybe some people really like it too. They're like, all right.
Well,
let's
some
make this
some
dick
people do
work.
like it.
Okay, but hear this out. Look, if we're really mad at each other, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna give you a vergazo right now, right? But if I'd said that to you in Spanish, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna fucking hit you with my dick. That's very.
I'm a little turned on right now. I'll be honest.
That's very not machismo, right? That's a little
Actually-
bit on the gayer side of things, and that's something that you were talking about,
Yeah.
right, Marlon? About how a lot of
Yeah, it's a little ironic that a lot of the these sayings in Mexico. I mean, Mexico is in several parts. I know that there's some more progressive parts, and let's not get into the not all argument. But for a good chunk of it is still very much machismo.
Yeah,
and-
people
and
forget
that
how
kind of-
conservative Mexicans really
Yeah.
are. Actually, Mexicans are very religious and they're very conservative.
very
and,
superstitious.
and also very not accepting of the gay community. But a lot of the Mexican sayings are
a little bit,
gay,
yeah.
Homosexual.
If you really break it down, some of these sayings are really gay.
Go to the dick.
Go to the vete a la
Vete
verga.
a la
What's the
verga.
other ones? What are the other
Let's
ones?
go to the dick.
Yeah.
The one that took me for surprise. I was watching a video.
He's very like very studied on this.
I was
Yes,
watching a video from my hometown, and two people were in a fight, and they're like outside a bar.
Wait,
these two dudes
in Brownsville, Texas.
These two dudes are getting in a fist fight, and these girls roll up, and they're a little bit tipsy, maybe allegedly. They're in a car. And the girl pokes her head out, and she says, "Desenvérguense a la verga." I was like, "What?" Undick yourself to the dick.
Literal translation. Undick yourself to the dick.
But do you just know what that means?
Yeah.
As
It means like calm your shit down to the dick.
undick yourself to the dick.
Like, calm the fuck down, dude. Get the
To
fuck
the
out of here,
dick.
to the dick.
Undick yourself.
Yeah, undick
Wow.
yourself to the dick.
Well, they say allegedly, statistically, if you want to avoid any, I'm actually known for being cooler. I've never been into a fight. I try to calm people down with my kind eyes, but I have a new thing now. They actually say if you pull your pants down in a fight and reveal your precious genitals, people will see that and everyone will stop fighting.
It's like, what? Does this guy want to fuck me right now?
Well, this goes back to I was presented with a similar situation when I was in a dressing room, and I think I've told you guys this story before, not on the pod, but I was in the YMCA, and notoriously known for older gentlemen that are inappropriate, right? So I was living in Corpus. I used to work out at the YMCA, shower in the mornings, get ready for work, go to work, right? So I get out of the shower one morning, and I'm standing at my fucking locker, right? 6 o'clock in the morning. This older dude, right, that I've seen and said hi to at the fucking YMCA every morning because he's always there, came up behind me, and I'm naked, dude. I mean, I'm about to, I just dried off. I had the towel around my waist. I literally took the towel off to put my underwear on, and I'm about to pick up my foot to fucking slide my foot into my underwear, and this dude comes up right behind me, and he gives me a little hip slap.
Oh my
Right on the hip, right
fuck?
behind me. I'm not looking at him. I'm looking at my locker. He's behind me and gives me one of these. Bam, right on the hip. And I'm just standing there looking at my locker.
That's like.
And he was like, good morning. I was like, morning.
And then
And I
he,
just stood there. And I'm like, am I going to get in a fist fight with this old naked dude at the fucking YMCA? No. What am I going to do? I just took it, dude. I just took that shit. I didn't even I was just in shock. I was just like, did that just happen? Did this dude I mean, he didn't grab my ass or grab my genitals or anything, but
he touched you.
It was a little inappropriate, dude. You don't hip slap somebody right on the love handle. Just give him a little slap on the way through and say, hey, good morning.
yeah, you
know
gotta
what I mean?
you gotta slap him on the ass like a man, or
Like a
reach around
man.
and grab his
No,
dick
but
like a
dude,
man, bro.
but
Don't be a
seriously,
pussy
I thought
about it.
this. I was like, I'm not gonna fight this guy. We're both naked.
So he was butt naked.
He had just
And
got
he
out of
did-
the shower.
Okay, so he
right
did,
behind me,
nothing
he followed
rubbed
me up.
against you.
No, he
around
just
your
came
butt
by and
region?
just gave me a little slap on the hip.
And then he leaned in and
And
whispered,
just said good morning. Dude, I love it. But you're right, dude. I wasn't gonna fight that
No,
guy.
you can't, dude. Sometimes in life, I've said this many times.
Jeez.
You just gotta bend over, spread your butt cheeks wide, run backwards through a cornfield, and hope it's just not that big. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
And
How old was this guy first?
he
off?
was old. He was probably in
60s
his late
plus?
50s, early 60s, right in that really creeper
man.
age, late
Bill-
50s, early 60s.
Bill-
No, dude, kind of chunky.
right at the
Oh,
age.
why
right at
couldn't
the
it be a
age.
hot old guy?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
right at the age where
Yeah.
even if you wanted to fight him fully clothed, it would still be wrong.
Well,
Morally incorrect.
no. He was old, young enough to get his ass kicked, but it was just one of those things where we're both naked. He's still wet. You know what I
Oh,
mean? He
Slippy.
literally-
We
you
both
know,
Slippy, you
are.
wanna fight the
Yeah.
Slippy guy.
And then there are no cameras in here. Nobody's gonna. I just beat up this dude in the YMCA. I might get in trouble. You know what I mean? There ain't no cameras in there. I hope. I fucking hope. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. It was like if I was violated in a certain way and we were fully clothed, I might have beat his ass. But we were both naked and he was wet. And that wasn't gonna happen, so I just took
He
it.
was wet.
He was wet. He was wet. It never happened again.
Probably got wet.
yeah. So yeah, there's something.
That was a weird
wow.
story.
This went into a weird.
I don't know if it
place.
was a weird story because of the old man or because it didn't involve any pee.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Sometimes, when I was thinking maybe if he was built, he'd see another built guy. Because I don't know if all your viewers know, Chris has very developed arms. I mean,
Look at those arms, dude.
Oh, that's all I got. I'm a one-trick pony over here.
Is that Dwayne Johnson?
Is
And
that
maybe he was
DJ?
like, man, look at I.
But
if,
you know-
if only I wasn't lazy in my younger years, I
But
could
why
have done
not?
something.
But why not squeeze my arm?
Yeah,
bro?
yeah.
Why?
exactly.
Why hip
Yeah.
check me, dude?
Or the
Why give me a little
shoulder,
slap
man.
on the little slap?
I
on
like
the
this
hip.
guy's arms. Let me hit him.
Let me
his
let
waist,
me
the waist area.
let me caress his waist a little bit on the
So
way
do you
by.
ever see when you're in the locker room? Do you ever go up? Because I think in the locker room, if I see a jack dude that I want to learn from,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man. I usually give thumbs up somebody, and they're like, they take off their jackets, they're like,
And you're watching. You're watching.
and I'm like, man, look at that guy's arm, and I'm like, hey, and I want to talk to them, and
And then you want to
about
touch
their
his
stuff.
waist.
And,
No,
and that's how we're
right.
friends. That's why we're good friends. now.
Hey, good
exactly what
morning.
happened.
Oh,
morning.
man. Well, sorry I took that off the rails, but this is some good mezcal.
Back
No,
to
it
this.
is, man. It's not. I thought it was gonna be smokier.
Yeah, it's not.
not.
It's not. I
The guy
find
said
it a
it was.
little
I'm
bit
just
sweeter.
gonna buy the shit I know smoky next time, and I'll bring it on the podcast next
Yeah.
time.
No, this is
It's-
pretty good though. I like it, but it's definitely not as smoky as the Scotch. The
It's-
Lafroig takes the cake still.
It's a little sweet without being like sweet, if that makes sense. Like
You
the,
know what?
the taste
It's
is
almost like there's too much going on with it because you do get the sweet.
This-
I'm getting a little sour and I'm getting some smoke. It's almost like there's too much for me, but it's good. It's good,
I
but
got the sour notes.
I'd
for
rather
sure.
just chill with the Lafroig a little bit.
It's kind of like creamy, bro.
A little
Yeah,
creamy
that's-
too.
yeah, that's what I'm-
Do you get it?
it's creamy.
So this is machetazo.
Machetazo.
Machetazo,
Yeah.
which is that the age of the machete? It's meaning, so it's like the machete of truth coming
No.
in, stabbing
No.
you. That's why it's so.
It's
okay.
getting hit
It's a-
over
it's
the
a ma-
fucking head with a machete, pretty much.
Oh,
It's how they-
Machetazo.
Azo. Okay.
It's how certain cartels.
Yeah,
Deal
handle
with-
their business.
Not us, we're-
And on that note.
Yeah, you guys have never had Lefroy. You drink scotch. Buy Lefroy.
Lefroy.
It's amazing.
I think
If
the-
you don't like scotch, still buy Lefroy.
I think the
It's badass.
official scotch of the Well Mannered Cartel podcast. Bro.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like the Welsh.
No, of our podcast. I
Welsh
think Lefroy.
something,
I think we all enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It's
Definitely.
amazing. So, that said, let's get into it. This is episode number 15 of the Well Mannered Cartel. I'm Tom. I'm Mike.
I'm Marlon.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jim.
We're joined by Jim.
We're joined
this
by
is
Jim.
Jim's first episode on the pod, his first time. And the reason why we have Jimmy on is because the first topic that we're going to talk about is religion, right? We've never really gotten in. This is kind of a touchy
This
subject.
episode entirely is going to be something completely
Controversial.
different. I guess you can. Some people would-
Controversy.
it's
We're
like
leaning into
controversial
controversy.
topics, quote
Right.
unquote. But yeah. So religion is something we've talked about all the time. Whenever we get together and we're a little tipsy, we start talking about religion. And what I've
Yeah.
noticed is that we all sort of have this. We all have different views, and I see it as a sort of like a spectrum. And we didn't have a guy on that spectrum that was super religious, so we brought Jimmy in here.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I've told you this off wax that when I first met you, I really didn't think you were religious at all. I just didn't get that vibe from you based off of previous conversations that we've had. And then you were like, I'm like the leader of this men's group, and I also play guitar. I'm like lead guitarist for the Christian rock band that I on Sundays when I at worship. And I was like, what, dude?
And then I'm hitting on the chicks at the gym.
Right, and I was like-
being
And then
hungover.
you're talking
Right.
about being on fans only or whatever for this one.
Oh, no, not
does
that
too
one,
many
no.
squats at the gym.
I mean, hey, we all fall short in the glory of the Lord.
And
Okay,
that's-
listen. Okay, here's
okay.
what we're gonna go. Okay.
See, so and then I hear so Jimmy's kind of telling me about how he's religious, and then I kind of called him out a little bit. I'm like, dude, but aren't you just like slaying chicks like left and right? Like, aren't you trying to like go out and and hook up with a bunch of chicks all the time? And isn't that kind of not in line with the religious side of things? And then you said your famous mantra, we all fall short to the glory of the Lord. And I was like, all right, we got to get this guy on the podcast to talk about religion.
I mean, you know what I mean. We all have our demons to slay, right?
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying. I mean, most people get what you guys say when you're like, oh, we want a religious guy. But I've spent probably 12 years of my life studying and reading about this like crazy, and it's not I mean, yes, there are religions, but that's the stuff that, in my view, and from everything that I've read, like just reading it from like every viewpoint I could look at, because I'm Gemini and I play devil's advocate all the time. The religious people, whether it was political or religious or whatever, were the ones that were against the entire Jesus or the story of Jesus.
Wow.
So that's why I'm not like, because that's who killed him. That's why it's just basically a documented history of truth, and that was my.
Is there like I don't know if you're not really like into labels or anything, or like, because I know you said that you go to a church that's not really like non-denominational.
Yeah.
Right. So is there like I don't want to say label, sounds like a bad word, but is there like a name for the belief that you are at the moment? Or
You could say Christian, but again, I mean, I know a ton of pastors that say, "Hey, Christians ruin Christianity." So like, you can say, "I want to follow Jesus," because like, but everyone's like, "Oh, I believe in Jesus," and then they'll be like, "You gay people," and like they're like, "Yo, suck a dick," or whatever, and like, you're not like. If you read the
The
text,
preacher says that.
That's what I can say.
Somebody should explain to this preacher what gay is. He's telling him to go suck a dick.
But like we're supposed to love, or you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it never says to like
love on each other.
condemn or to like hate people. Like we're supposed to love our neighbors. We're supposed to not judge. And
Right.
if you judge, you'll get judged. Right? Just be prepared.
Right.
You're gonna get judged back. Like you stupid idiot. You're fat. Or I'm sorry. I called
Hey,
you-
hey.
Well, man,
You're tacky and I hate you.
So
Just for some clarity, when we're speaking religion or not, we're referring to Christianity, right?
Right,
There's tons
right.
of religions, but
Exactly.
right now we're talking
Christianity
or
about
just
like
like
a
believing in a
broad
higher
term.
power, right? Like, are we here because there was a higher being that put us here for a reason, or is this just all by fucking coincidence and there was this, Big Bang and I don't know the science
Right.
part of it, but is there something? Are we here because of a higher being, or are we here just by chance? I mean, that's
Chris
kind
just
of
got
the
deep.
okay.
no, but
Go ahead.
that's, no, but that's
Well,
the
that's-
conversations that
yeah.
we
No,
have
dude,
had
this is how it all
off-air.
starts,
right?
right?
Right.
Well, I would say my direct answer to you is if you guys are searching deep in your heart, any viewers out there that want to like that you're just like there's I have everything in life, but why am I incomplete? Honestly, why not go to the people that said this is exactly what happened? It was there. It was given. It actually was given down to them through their ancestors in like documented ancient Hebrew texts. Like the rabbis have like, whoa, this crazy stuff. They were in the clouds. They came down. These fallen angels, aliens, whatever you want to call them. Something happened, and there was documented history of it. Google, Rick, quick Google, the most.
Rick's producer off camera. Rick, white boy Rick, producer
Behind
for
the
this
scenes.
episode.
Our researcher today, Google, what's the most historically accurate book is the actual canonical Bible has been proven historically. That's where we get everything from to this table and why we're talking and having communication with each other.
This is IKEA,
So,
bro.
Yeah. This is like
Russia.
Yeah, so I think with that being said, I mean, I think we kind of see your stance on your belief in a higher power, and it's strong. I think it's like something that you really strongly believe in, and it's not going to be shaken. It's not going to be taken. And but like I think us three, like myself and Tom and Mike, based off of conversations that we've had previously, we're kind of like in the middle. Like we don't not believe, but there's certain things that we're just not really like. We're not gun ho either way about it. It's almost like we're right in the middle of that spectrum.
Yeah, for sure. You hit it right on the head, dude. Like, I think for me, I'm not. I grew up Catholic, and I went to church every Sunday. I went to CCD. I got my first communion, confirmation, everything like that.
Yeah.
But sort of like somewhere, whenever I was like younger, like 10 or 12 years old, we stopped like going to church a lot, and then I just kind of like fell out of it. But I'm not super religious. I think I'm spiritual. I think I guess agnostic would be the word. And I'm okay with it. Like I have my level of spirituality, and that's kind of what I feel. And I guess for me, I told Chris before, like I don't go to church often, but sometimes I feel like I really want to go to church because I guess there's like this level of nostalgia. Like going into, it has to be Catholic church and going there, and just I guess the feelings I had when I was a kid, they come back, and I think that's more what it is. And then also I feel good when I pray.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I'm actually praying or if it's more of like kind of like a meditation.
Meditation.
kind of thing.
Well, that's
So-
what they. I'll go three different ways with you on that. Like, I mean, church. You can go to any religion, church, if whatever it is. If there's a good word that can be spoken to you, that's great. That's what it's all about. But you don't. I mean, church is good, but hey, Jesus said we're two are gathered. That's church, man. Like that's. You don't have to go to an establishment where it's all cool and bands and there's all these girls saying love, and they're because these religious girls, let me tell you, they are so wild. I mean, they'll just rip your pants off in a second. Honestly,
Wow.
I've seen them do things.
Wow.
But hey, I love I love every girl. I mean, you guys are great, stupid, smart, hot,
Everybody
whatever.
love everybody.
But secondly, agnostic actually means the agnostic were not only were they it actually meant not wanting to know. The origination of the word was they didn't want to know the truth. You had the Gnostics, which were no one's perfect, but the Gnostics were going towards truth, which is in a way it's going back to who you are. It was like that's why in the book of in the Gospel of Truth it said you're either truth, which is zero error. It makes sense in every way, in every realm, everything.
I retract my previous statement. I'm just Ostic.
I'm just
All right, there you go.
Minus the ag.
minus egg.
So Jimmy, I got it
Yeah, you
right.
got it right.
How would you react? Well, actually, let me change it to a question. So, have you ever had anybody like tell you that you're not a true Christian? Because I mean, just listening to your beliefs, I mean, you're okay with gay people, and I think the majority of people who call themselves Christians today are okay with it at any certain level. I think it's more rare to find, or it's more rare because it's so socially not, what am I looking for?
Unacceptable?
Yeah, unacceptable,
yeah.
shamed, to be intolerant. So obviously you're okay with gay people, you're okay with drinking and stuff like that. But have you ever like had anybody like call you like, well, you're not a real Christian?
It wouldn't matter to me because the word, I mean, the origination of the Nazarenes was the way of the master, which is Jesus. So like we call it Christianity now, but like it's basically, yeah. Did Jesus say, neither liars nor thieves nor homosexuals nor fornicators or he named everything will enter heaven, right? That's all of us, man. Like, have you told lies, or have you ever stolen something? I mean,
No.
we're, you know, like we
stealing
all
stuff right now,
we
bro.
all do something, you know,
Yeah.
fornication, you know. Oops, I'm
Never.
not-
Hey, bro.
you know, like, yeah.
Settle
I mean,
down.
are they sins?
Yeah.
Are they sins? Yeah. Is it a sin to be gay? Is it a sin to be a liar? Is it a sin to be this, that, and the other? Or to do the acts of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, you have to say it. But, no, I'm not going to heaven because I'm straight. Because I'm a straight dude that loves big butts. You know?
And cannot lie about it.
Yeah.
In actuality, I'm not going to heaven any faster than a gay person. So it's all about the relationship of how you're trying to, and how your mind is actually the infinite creation, the like actively going towards truth of what was said. Because if you ever notice, everything that's in there is always, this is what brings life. That's why it's called the Book of Life. It's just every possible aspect is, if it doesn't bring life, it brings death. If it's not towards God, it's against him in a way.
But you have been maybe not questioned directly like your Christianity, but some people may have that in your religious groups have maybe questioned certain aspects of your life, right? Or certain
For sure.
ways that you carry yourself, and maybe not like directly like you're not Christian because of this, but maybe they're like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't do that, you know, or
You know what?
maybe you shouldn't be that way. Or,
I get it. I get it all the time. From a couple people, from this one worship leader that, you know, probably, I think she just inherently doesn't like men, or maybe she dated somebody that looked like me or something. I don't know. But anyway, she, you know, was like, you can't do that. And I was like, hey, you know, we shouldn't be judging. Like, all are welcome in the house of God. Like,
Right.
we're all like, I know. I mean, she wasn't a perfect angel by any means, but I mean, hey, she's great. You know, I would want, if I had
Amazing
a
rack.
team, I would want. If I had a worship team, I would
Great
want
sex
anyone
tape.
to be. But like, if I was, Paul says, pray and meditate on the Lord. That, literally, word for word. When you said,
Wow.
I feel great when I pray. It actually just doesn't say you pray like this. You actually, Jesus does tell us how to pray, but he says pray and meditate and fast. So, and the reason they actually prayed, not a lot of people know this, but when you pray before you're eating, the reason that you pray and meditate before you eat and like give thanks and just get your mind ready is because anxiety, if you're anxious and you're eating, your body digestively doesn't even, they knew it back then. You're not going to eat, you're going to overeat, you're going to feel sick afterwards. But if you come at it in a peaceful way,
Wow.
that's literally what, like,
But I know
you
plenty
have
of
to-
fat people who pray before they eat.
right. Well, I mean, maybe it could be it could be out of tradition too. You know. But if you read the all-encompassing of it, because everyone's always like, "Oh, love one another." They use like soft affirmations, which is great. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, read the whole thing, and it's literally the ultimate philosophy.
But how do you, okay, so go ahead.
What I'm saying, touching on that, I think we can all agree that even if there is a higher being or higher power or not, the advice or the information that you get from the Bible or from the readings, it's good advice. Like, hey, just don't be a dick, dude. You know,
It's where
Don't
morals came
murder
from. We
people.
could not have gotten
Don't-
morality.
Certain things, certain
Don't fuck your
morals
neighbor's
from the
wife,
right.
dude.
Hey, don't fuck thy neighbor or whatever.
Even though she's
whatever number
probably
that was.
hotter than your wife.
Yeah, most of the information that you get from the Bible, it's like, yeah, that's kind of just how to be a good fucking person, right? I
And
mean, for the most part.
For sure, and honestly, we had to be given morals. We couldn't have figured them out scientifically. It would have proven quite the opposite, in every way. I mean, to let people be what they want, like let a person. Hey, the biggest thing that nobody really understands: God lets the devil roam right now for a while. He lets him roam. Would you let someone? That's like saying, let's say I don't like, I don't know, someone that believes in Hinduism or something. That's like saying you know, like, hey, no, man. If you totally disagree with them, let them, believe whatever they want. God, not even God, will change the heart of man. You got to let them, be free to believe what they want.
Shit.
That's the like. It's, that's Jesus's way. Turn the other cheek.
Right. And you were
So-
going to say something. I'm sorry.
So I was gonna say, I was gonna touch on that actually. So, what would you? How can I phrase this? So you just talked about like people that are Hindu, and so what makes you think that? So if you say morality, our morality comes from God. So how did they arrive to the morality? So they don't believe in the same God.
It was bestowed on us based on how our civilization was ran. Yeah, I mean there are countries that don't have our moralities, right? I mean there's countries that'll chop your genitals off if you're gay, or if you're like, they'll do crazy stuff based on what they think. Basically the word was spread through the apostles as best they could, and then through the followers of them, to every continent. From the new gospels that we've read. But I mean, yeah, not everyone gets it, and if they want to believe that way, I mean, yeah.
So you think they're just interpreting things differently than how,
or
we're
they
interpreting them?
worship their god, because actually there's a fallen angel in every city in the world. There's a fallen deity that rules every city until the day of judgment happens.
this is-
So that's why
this is another
that's
level.
why you're always going to have
This is
one.
another level.
Who's the one in
I was
Houston?
on your. I was following along.
His
and
name
then-
is AJ Hinch.
Yeah.
But-
His name is Altuve, Rick. Google that shit off camera.
So that's why you have.
It's good.
I mean, look at what the other from. I don't know who you want to refer to, but the good blessings that you get from people are basically how societies are run, and the great things from them, and most likely what happens throughout courses of history. Beliefs kind of like what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Commingle and mutate,
Merge,
and they'll develop moral from others. But if you read the text itself, I mean, just plainly as day, it's literally the best thing you can do in any, even the worst situation you could ever be in. It's literally, well, here's the best thing to do in any sort of situation you could ever be in. So we had to be given these laws because back then they were like, oh, well, sacrifice this baby. We need to sacrifice it to this child. And they were like, no, Jesus was the sacrifice. He died. That was the whole point of, like, it's almost like we're all sinners. We're all knee deep in bitches or whatever. And like, we all have
Hey, not all of us. Jim.
well, we have
all of us.
Settle down.
we all have our sin, but it's almost like, when you go to the judgment time and God's like, did you tell a lie? You're like, no. Did you ever steal something? Maybe. Well, he's like, he's gonna find you guilty, but Jesus pays the price for that sin, kind of in a court of law, in a way. So
then what's the point of being good if the price has already been paid?
because to be good is to.
That's deep.
Well, no. Well, you're exactly right. We're saved because we are
Debit,
sinners.
charge it.
Yeah, it's kind of. Well, we're saved.
Hey, that's on Jesus' tab.
Yeah.
See that?
I mean, in a way.
Last name Christ.
But God, I mean, only God knows ultimate discernment and can see directly in your heart. So if you're doing it against Him, knowing that He'll save you, that's actually it's like a form of blasphemy and taking His name in vain. It's almost like if you work for a company, Spectrum News, and you have a T-shirt here, and you're like walking up to, and you're at a bar, and there's a pile of chicks over there, and you're like, "Hey, babe, you ever get with a guy like me?" and you're doing whatever you got to do. That's like saying you're wearing God's name tag. I come in the name of God, and then you're being a dick, and like you're not
You're
representing
abusing.
Him. That's vanity. It's like making yourself vain in His name. So
Wow, that was a good answer. I don't
No,
know.
okay.
I don't know
So-
about you guys.
So my takeaway, Jimmy, is that it seems like you're really a good guy, actually. Like you're aware of your own vices, and are aware that
All too
everybody
well.
and are aware that everybody has vices. Nobody's, whether you're a Christian or you identify yourself as a Christian or anybody else with their own religion. It sounds to me like you're giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, that they're aware of their own situation. Everybody's just trying to be better. As long as your whatever religion you subscribe to tries to make you be a better person, you yourself don't pass judgment on other people. You're just like, everybody's flawed. Everybody's got their thing. You're my kind of Christian, man. Like, like I don't mind.
We're gonna hug it out?
Huh?
Are we gonna
Well,
hug it out?
I don't
No,
think
I
we-
mean, there was no, like,
this is not airing
conflict.
out. No, it's just I don't think we ever really did we. I don't think we ever really talked about how you're not really that religious at all, right, Marlon? I mean,
No.
you're not really
evolution or creation? Which one?
Evolution,
No, no, no.
100%.
There you
But
go.
What?
No, yeah, wait, hold on, settle down.
Hold on.
We were getting to a good point here.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. No, but you. I don't think you would call yourself an atheist, right? Or you're.
no,
kind of
I'm an atheist.
Oh, okay.
I consider myself an
No,
atheist.
you're wrong.
I
Sorry.
consider myself an atheist.
Oh, okay.
He's like, no, I'm a motherfucking atheist.
So
No, I
See
mean,
this
there's
tat? Atheist.
so you believe there's no God.
I don't believe that there is no God. I start off from the position of like people trying to convince me that their God is true. So I gather that so based on just to kind of explain it a little bit, my perspective, give you a perspective into me. So we just talked about Hinduism. There's literally thousands of other gods that you don't believe in. You believe in the
I believe those
Judeo-Christian-
gods are real.
You believe those gods are real?
The gods you're talking about. They're especially in Hinduism. They weren't God. I mean, you can call them gods, little g.
Okay,
they are real creatures that came here.
Okay, but you don't believe that they're gods with a big G.
No,
okay.
there had to be a creator god for them.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so because you don't believe that they are gods with a big G, for the same reasons that you don't believe that you find either the evidence not compelling enough, blah 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 blah, whatever. For all those same reasons, probably, I don't believe in those gods as well as your God. But that's
So
it.
yeah, well, I agree with you. So I always find myself in this situation, atheists, but that look at things and read things philosophically and look into them are very close to understanding actual what biblical text is saying. And I know I'm called the Bible thumper all the time, but like even the non-canonical text, the Book of Enoch, yeah, sure, the Book of the Giants, Book of Adam and Eve. There's all these texts that are outside of it that literally every nation on earth uses bits of, and they all point to the same event happening. Basically, something came from the sky, which they all said. Everyone said it came in the clouds, and actually, that's where we get the constellations from. And I know you're going to sound crazy, but they thought the Earth was flat, and that's how they mapped it out so perfectly back then.
We'll get into that a little later.
I'm not a flat earther, totally.
We're going on 30 minutes, man.
but
I don't know if there's enough time.
But all the Hindu, I mean, every belief. I mean, yeah, there's substantial proof to believe in those gods. So what I'm asking you is,
Why don't you find that evidence convincing?
no, it's true. Those people exist. Those things and gods existed.
But
They
why,
were real.
But why don't you believe? You don't believe enough to be to be Hindu to
Well,
convert.
because there's a bigger story.
So
Why do you believe
so
the
you-
bigger
you-
story is the bigger story?
That's
Like,
the-
Okay,
the thing.
yeah, well, we'll get to that right now. So basically, it's like this: there's a story that's telling you these fallen angels fell. Aliens. I mean, they were called angels back then. Aliens now. They're called dragons back then. They're called dinosaurs now.
Hey, bro, those aren't real.
So these things fell.
Dragons aren't real.
I'd like to interject.
But
right now and
dinosaur,
tell you
well,
that
sorry,
the
sorry.
dragons
the
are
term
not real.
dinosaur came out in 1880.
Dude,
you know
have
that?
been to Indonesia? Yeah, there's actually Komodo dragons.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck off. Bro.
They are real, actually.
The term dinosaur
corrected.
wasn't made until 1890 from a guy that just wanted to distinct the actual dragons that he could find. And they were called dragons. That's what they were. And the dinosaur was like a word that they just invented in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it wasn't like they were. Anyway, okay. So basically,
Dragons are
something
real, Chris.
fell from the sky, and everyone saw it. And these creatures that fell, they all have the same name, even in like in Hindu, in Roman, Greek, all over the place, Persia. The names are still so similar everywhere you go, and they're in the biblical text, and they're in the the Book of Enoch, and the Watchers, and the Book of Giants, and they all said they blended with humanity. They had the Nephilim. They had angel, alien, human hybrids. They were sinning all over the world, actually not just with humans, with animals too. That's where you get the centaurs from. This is in biblical text, in Genesis and Leviticus. Yeah, no one reads
Wait,
this.
so you think that centaurs are real?
Well-
How come we haven't found any centaur bones?
Why do
Fossils.
they have so many? Okay, do you know how many weird stuff the skulls that they found? They found weird skulls with huge heads on the back. Have you seen those things? In the evolutionary community, they're like, "Oh, this is a guy trying to become a." No, that was the.
Oh yeah, I think I saw it in the National Enquirer. I think.
Well, I mean, but,
for folks reading. This is
but no,
an old
there's so
magazine.
many- although I know, but you're saying, but so basically, the text that we're reading from now, or if you read Genesis now as it is without being touched, and all the ancient texts, they all say the same story, but people actually chose to believe in these fallen angels as their gods and their Nephilim offspring because by the names of them. So it's almost like there's this whole book of saying, don't worship these things. They're fallen angels. They left their state. They fell. They actually willingly fell because they wanted to be like the Most High. That's what Lucifer said. I will be like the Most High in Isaiah. He's like, Isaiah 14. He's like, I'll be like the Most High. I will be like the five wills of Lucifer. And so, so basically, who do you want to read from? Do you want to read from people that are like, oh, Apollyon he's our god because, or Zebulon, or Azazel, or Samael. All the names in Enoch are written there, and they're all literally, you can read them. And chronologically speaking, we get our entire calendar. The reason that we have Monday, Tuesday, Mars Day, Wednesday, Mercury Day, Thursday, Thor's Day of Jupiter. We have all those things from the people that we get it from Manetho. Our entire way of life is from these people that were like, okay, Zeus ruled from this time, Kronos this time. That was their belief, and we're using their calendar now, so we're using what they believed as the gods. But what I'm saying is, yes, there were something happened that came down physically, spiritually, metaphysically, in every realm of our reality and our dimension. It injected itself here and interbred with us, which that's why the flood happened, and because it was an abomination to the all-powerful God, the 12th archon, or the highest dimension, whatever you want to call it, the one that made the fallen ones. And he actually said that was an abomination. That's why everyone's like, oh, Leviticus, they're killing people. No, they were going to eat all the flesh on the earth. That's why he had to do it, or no flesh would be left alive. Killed them. Shit. That's why humanity was here. So basically, who do you want to worship? So I'll be done in a second. Do you want to worship that guy that's like, oh, Zeus, he's so cool. Look at him. That's a god. Oh yeah. Or do you want to be like the guy that's like, hey man, no, there's actually a God higher than him that was telling us don't worship anybody. Like what your belief is, I don't want to believe in any of these gods, which is true because Zeus, you don't want to worship a fallen creature. And actually, Revelation says when you see these things that held you back all these years, the sins and the devil's tricks and everything, it's like a cockroach. You just stepped on it. It's like weak, and like it's trying to get up. I can't get up. And like that's what. And you look at it like you feel sorry for it. You're like, that's what held me back for all these years.
Well, okay, so I think you have a misconception of the position where let me just kind of reiterate in different terms.
Okay.
So I don't find it's not that I don't want to believe in any of these things. It's not that I don't want to. It's as if I tried to convince you that 2 + 2 does not equal 4. Like I could tell you, man, I really believe that 2 + 2 equals 37 or something, right? And or the color blue, and you're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe me. I can present to you everything that I think is evidence for it. Everything that, and you're just like, no, man. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 + 2 equals 4. It's not that I don't want to. It's that I'm looking at the evidence that people present, including what you just said, and I don't find it convincing, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is that for me, you're as as passionate as you are, and as effervescent as you are. I feel that the type of Christian that you are, which is very self-aware of, you don't think you're above anybody else as on an individual level, like from person to person. You're aware of your own vices. Hey, I'm just trying to live a better life, and I want other people to live a better life too. Also aware of their things. That's fine with me. I have zero problem with any religion. The where I have a problem is when people start to dictate what other people should do based on their religion. Like you know what? I'm gonna vote for this law to go in so that you can't get married, or that whatever else. I mean, I think that you should be shamed because you're wearing shorts and you're not. You look like a slut. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't. When I see people doing that, I cringe, and I'm like, ugh. I cringe so much because I used to be one of those people. I used to be like a person that was very judgmental and very like, no, you have to be a Christian. You have to live your life a certain way. And I completely support people that are like, well, you know what? Jesus taught these things. He taught us to love one another, and that's where I stand. And I just want to love everybody, and that's all right with me.
So yeah, I mean, I totally agree. The one thing that I like to do a little bit is I for sure accept everyone. I mean, I have friends that are weird and LGBT. I mean, whatever. I don't even.
All
whatever,
letters,
man.
all
Yeah.
letters.
And I'm saying like they should put swingers in there. Why are they against swingers? I think there's a huge agenda against swingers.
That's actually a good point.
We were talking about the Christian swingers spreading the word of God through.
And
But-
seed as
Just
well.
a sexy time.
But I do think there's a thing that you should promote. If you can promote better, let the bad, kind of like God lets the devil roam, and the devil's always wanderlust. It's a sin, man. It's a sin, and always was. Why do you think the devil goes to and fro? Where have you been? I've been going to and fro among the earth, seeking who I may devour. It's a whole thing. Like so, the God lets he's like.
Why can't?
feels
Why
bad
can't?
for him.
But why can't? Why does it have to be a devil though? Why can't it just be like some people are shitty people? Like some people are just shitty people, man.
Well,
like they don't have that.
You just gotta let them. You gotta
But
let them be.
No, I'm not saying let them be. I mean, if they're doing something bad, then they should be.
Well, if they break, if
but
they
I'm saying-
kill someone, or if they do this, that. But if their belief is something that is fallen to what your belief is, you gotta let them be. You can preach for sure. You can preach the good word, but you gotta let them be. And when you were talking about marriage, in the ring that you guys have. That ring
Yous guys,
was the entire thing of the ring was a belief of Saturn, with the Saturn worshippers. That's why you wear the ring of Saturn, is because they believe Saturn was Kronos, the god of time, father time, plowed Mother Earth.
Plowder?
Yeah, that's where they actually think this
Jesus.
whole.
Jesus.
And they're crazy.
Yeah, so that's why the whole gay
Those
marriage
people are
and
nuts.
straight marriage thing. Marriage was supposed to be just, the actual word was, man and woman in union together of sex and, the union of the throbbing biological urges of the, inside the other.
Yeah.
We get it.
But there was never supposed to be like a ring and government. Oh, who's getting the insurance policies and who's going to be illegal? That was never supposed to be a thing. It's literally you two. That's why the triangle trigonometry, Trinity of God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, two
Holy
men, God at the top.
Bro, you're bringing in geometry.
come
into
together,
this.
yeah. That's why
I
it's
think-
just between
so,
you two and God.
This is a nice symbol though of my marriage. Its main purpose is if anybody comes sniffing around me or my wife, hey,
¿sabes qué, Ruca?
get off,
Look at
step
this.
off.
Hey, step off. Get to stepping. Well, I think we're at a good point to kind of segue into the next topic. But before we do that, I think, Marlon, the way that you presented it and the way that you obviously listened to what Jimmy was saying. You guys are on the opposite end of the spectrum. Us three are in the middle, and the way that you just said, I'm okay with the fact that Jimmy isn't really one of the very religious people that just judges other people that don't exactly believe in the exact way that you believe. I think that's
It's beautiful.
That's the
it
most
is.
that's the most important thing. I mean,
seriously, man.
I think
you
the way
can
the
you
world
can
accepting of each other.
yeah
is-
you can
all we
be
can ask for.
you can be as firm believer or as dedicated to your spiritual beliefs as you want to any of them. And I will have zero problem. I think most atheists will have zero problem with anybody because there's so many different religions, and you can't possibly go around and trying to convince people that they're you can't reason somebody into agreeing with you if they haven't taken the same steps on their own, like self-initiated their own self-reflection and why they believe certain things. That's how I got to where I'm at. So a lot of self-reflection. I know that I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, that lately there's been a lot of introspective like reflection as to why, challenging my own prejudices, my own biases. And so, and it's just something I arrived to naturally. And I can't, no matter how much I talk to you, Jimmy, I'm not going to get you to that point. It's not something that I can convince you, Tom, or convince anybody of. And so I'm accepting of all different religions and all different people that are trying to live their best life and trying to be a better person. You will not hear. There was a time in my life when I was more like adamant about it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm not that person anymore. And I'm more like, as long as you aren't infringing on other people's rights and other people's trying to set your standards on, which is your poorly based standards on somebody else. Like, yeah, there's all sorts of crazy things in the Bible, and that nobody adheres to now, and they'd be
Name one.
crazy. Huh?
God, name one. I can.
Do you eat shrimp?
Yeah. So the reason that the new covenant came along.
Okay,
was
yeah.
because
But
it's
you don't.
Bible.
But
But it's in
my
the
point. My
Bible.
point is that you don't do it anymore, right? I mean, you don't adhere to not eating shrimp.
Okay, so it is bottom feeder, and it's a lesser form. Now, is
Okay.
it bad for our bodies?
But-
it might be,
but-
but we're free. The reason for Jesus' new covenant is that we're free to do that, even though it's not good for us. He's like, "Hey, I died for you. Do you want to eat strangled meat? Because I'll tell you what, the way that meat is killed and that we eat meat now it would be." Like, that's why the Jews look at it, they can't eat it because it's been strangled or it's been killed not right, and it's not healthy for the spirit of the animal that was killed. And then when we eat it, we're like, oh, what's my gut doing? And then women don't find, why isn't my penis working? And like, so all I'm saying is Jesus, yeah, he's like, he died. He's like, look, you can do this if you want, but it's still. It is a healthier way to eat.
Shrimp gets me hard as a rock.
I love meat.
But what I'm saying, Jimmy,
nothing
is
wrong
that
with strangled
so
meat.
you're obviously aware of all these rules that you don't practice now, and you wouldn't even dream of telling people like, well, you shouldn't. And there's more horrific things that happen in the Old Testament. But I'm fully aware of
go
the
ahead.
I'm fully aware of the
What do you
What do you mean?
For Old Testament.
You know.
Stop it.
You know. So, but that's not the point. I'm not trying to argue what's in the Old Testament or what's in the New Testament. I'm not arguing that. You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. What I'm saying is that I have no problem until I see somebody committing an injustice on somebody else based on their religion.
yeah.
Then
For
I will
sure.
speak up.
Yeah.
Then I will speak up. But
I do
you're
love
free,
debating.
You're
it,
free.
Yeah, that's my. But yeah.
But debating the Bible is the lowest hanging fruit because it's just, I mean, you could literally put in
Everyone's gonna go back to
Bible
what they-
contradictions in Google. Boom, you get pages and pages and pages and pages of it.
Guys,
Correct.
So
you
it's-
know why I
so-
like it? It's infinity for podcasting. If you think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
just
there's tons of other podcasts that do it, and anybody can go look it up. And I'm not saying I'm trying to not be confrontational. I'm trying to be here that I'm accepting of you, Jimmy. And I certainly appreciate how passionate you are about this and about everything, actually. Because since I started talking to you when we were downstairs, you were just like, yeah, man, and very like also interested in like, I'm talking to you and you're very focused on that person and you're very focused and and I appreciate that. I like that, actually. I wish I had more of that where I can like zero in on on a conversation. Go ahead.
Look, so do you believe in aliens?
So I'll tell you this. So I'm more inclined to believe in aliens than I am in anything supernatural.
So
Wow.
no spirits, no ghosts.
No spirits, no ghosts.
Okay, real quick, and then we can go to the next topic. It might take about
We'll
5.
only
4
do one
minutes.
more topic because
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we're
yeah.
pushing
But
time.
yeah,
We'll
we're
do one
50
more.
But
minutes.
it's fine. Yeah, but it's okay. No, it kind of segues.
We can go into
It
flat
segues
earth
well.
after this.
Oh, yeah,
just,
yeah.
just nip it in the
Nip it in the ass.
So, real quick. Okay, so aliens maybe. Do you guys believe in spirits? Anyone here? Ghosts?
Not
Or
really, man.
no?
I
You don't
don't.
think? Okay, so if anyone feels a certain way about them, it's all in there. Everything was in there. So when the
well,
Nephilim die, I'll say
Whiskey's a spirit, right?
Right, that's where you get it from.
I believe in.
Yeah,
Hey, give me
okay.
another one of those scotches, bro.
Why do you think they called it spirits? Was
You
because
start seeing things
yeah,
and shit, or what? You
it
start
opened.
feeling
So
something
Solomon,
weird?
yeah, that's where it came from. So Solomon was like, that's why he said,
Hey, bro, I
make-
cry when I drink, bro.
Hey, you got
What
the
is that,
spirit.
bro?
You got the spirit of crying, bro.
What is
and-
that?
and you
Tell
gotta
me.
have Jesus fill
You
up
got
all
that-
the houses in your body.
You got that cry demon, bro.
What I do feel is really interesting is how religion or the there's like something inherent about wanting to believe in something more,
Right,
and I think that's
yeah.
happened all across the world for forever, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's very, very interesting. Or how do you explain like pyramids, like in
Yeah.
fucking Latin America and in Egypt, like,
Right.
similar
Dude,
structures.
I believe.
Do you have something for that? I mean,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Oh God! Yeah. Before you get into that, let me just say, like, I just think that, like, I my default is to believe in something greater because I feel like it's something that I just can't even comprehend. Like, it's something that I can't even understand, and like, it just doesn't make sense that we're just the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of everything. Like, what the fuck was that? That little speck that exploded in the Big Bang or whatever.
Meckel, bro.
Who the fuck put that Meckel there, bro? Who blew the first nut? I don't know. I don't fucking know, but it's
Yeah.
like it's almost like
But
hey,
somebody
even
did.
if somebody tried to explain it to me, like man, I wouldn't even understand. So it's
Yeah.
like my default is just to be like, look, dude, you're not gonna understand it. Like it's just beyond you. And I've had similar to you, Tom. When I pray, I just feel better, man. And when I see the teachings of the Bible and church and stuff, and like it's good morals, and I'm like I believe in most of those morals, maybe not everything. I like shrimp, bro. Shrimp's
Shrimp
good.
is dope.
Yeah, I love gay people, dude.
Coconut
I
shrimp.
love gay. Like I have some of my best friends are gay.
Some of my best
and
times
I
are
love it.
eating shrimp while I'm with my gay
When
friends.
I'm with my gay friends, hey bro, and if you've never been to a gay bar, dude, you've never had a good time, okay? 'Cause gay bars are the shit.
Well, I mean,
alright?
you gotta
the
watch
music's
out.
amazing. The music's amazing.
Yeah, it's the music.
Anyway,
I
Best
love
music,
eating
yeah.
gay shrimp.
yeah, dude. So like, that's what I'm saying. It's just like I
Combined.
feel like for the most part, dude, I'm not gonna comprehend it. I just feel like it's beyond me, and I just feel like there's something put us here, and there is. I feel like
Yeah.
I default to
Yeah.
like there is a higher being. That's just my
Yeah.
default, and I can't understand it. And I don't go to church every fucking Sunday because there's football on, bro. The XFL's on, man.
What has
You know?
God got
I
against
gotta watch
the
it.
NFL, bro?
So,
No, so let's I think
Mike,
that's
go.
I think I'm pretty much with you on everything you said, and I think we should just go ahead and move on to the next.
No, but it kind of goes into the topic. Yeah, we could tie it all together
I
because
just feel like it's cool. I mean, I feel like people should believe whatever they want to believe, and I'm with Marlon until people start imposing things on other people.
right. And I think you're the same way with that, Jimmy. Right? You don't want somebody to be judging
Oh.
somebody else
No,
because
no, no,
of,
no.
Oh,
Jimmy's
no.
cool. Jimmy
Yeah.
understands. Like,
I'm judged
right.
all the time. I mean, like,
Right,
no,
right.
for sure.
So I think we're
So-
all in. We're
and I
all
think
agree on that.
all of us here believe in something different.
guys, I want to leave you with one thing on this topic, and we'll go. It's the last statement.
God was an awesome God.
start breaking out.
So, in the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter, 3 dimensions. Just like we create computers and we create that. Somebody made that. Somebody made this.
Guy in North Carolina, he's really
somebody
talented, by
made
the way.
this. Somebody made this outside of our
bro.
dimensional reality.
I made
Outside.
this,
Outside of our. Wait, let me see whose looks bigger in camera. Okay.
I made it. That's all my hard work right there.
Rick, who you got, bud?
Chris's great arm.
Hey, that's my boy Rick. You're my boy.
So
Percentage wise, like how by how
I
much?
like it. 70-30.
It's 30%. Jimmy got the titties though.
Hey, he does. He does.
my mom gave them to me. But
He
as
got
you were
it
saying
from
with,
his
with
mom.
pyramids, and we can get right into. I don't believe the Earth is flat.
But, comma, but. Yeah.
Do I-
Let's go.
do I
Let's go.
hope-
Let's go. Flat Earth. Let's go.
Do I hope that it is?
Do I hope NASA's lying a little bit? Maybe a little bit.
Let's go.
So-
go full fucking send
Okay.
on the fucking flat Earth.
I look.
Let's
I've
go
talked to
full
flat
red
earthers.
pill. Red pill us, bro.
I've talked to direct flat earthers. And,
You got 5 minutes. Go.
and they have their main. I see their point. Like they give science. Like they use science to
they?
prove.
But
flat
it's not
Earth.
real science.
Well, I mean, no. There's There's guys that graduate from Harvard that are huge promoters of flat Earth.
That doesn't mean anything.
Ray,
You could graduate from
Flat
Harvard
Earth.
and still have
Harvard
terrible
plus flat
ideas.
Earth. Flat Earth plus.
So what I'm telling you is, no, I don't believe the Earth is flat. In a way, I hope they're lying to us a little bit. No, I don't hope they're lying.
Who's
but
they, bro? Who's they? The government?
Just the global elites rubbing their hands.
Hillary
The
Clinton.
Clintons. It was the Clintons.
They-
Hillary murdered Bourdain, all right?
We all know Anthony Bourdain
Anthony Bourdain was a good teller.
I thought we were
man.
talking about
And
he was an organ donor. So you know.
Okay, go back to flat Earth. We're
So
good on time.
basically, they use science to prove their points, which can show you anyone that my friend is a research the head research scientist at Columbia. I talked to him about this stuff a lot. And he's
Name
like,
drop,
you can
name
use
drop, name
anyone
drop,
that's good
name
at
drop.
science can prove and disprove literally the same thing using science in both ways. You can almost prove two different things using the same scientific method. So what I'm saying to them is my belief is like,
hold on. I'm highly skeptical of this friend of yours, head of Columbia, that you could use science to the same scientific principles to disprove each other.
look at gravity. Look at the
I'm raising a
magnetism.
massive eyebrow right now, like it's going.
No, I mean,
it's
look at
going
gravity.
through Mike's roof.
They still prove and disprove gravity. They still prove and disprove magnetism.
Here,
They still
here.
prove- Oh, no, but
That settles that.
I mean, that could be density too. I mean, like that's denser than. But my belief is again coming biblically is the perfect belief to have. Hey man, you believe the Earth is flat? Even though we have a lot of proof that it's round and the sun and everything. America, you know what I mean? Go ahead, I give them that
It's a
because
free
I tell you why.
country.
We used to think the Earth was flat, then it became round, then it was flat again, and then it was round for then how many hundred of years? The past couple hundred years. So what I'm telling you is every about 35 years, science comes along and literally makes the last 35 years look so stupid that you're like, you guys believed that? Look, 35, 40 years ago, doctors were like, I smoke, Marlboro.
Well, that's
Like,
more. That might have been more like somebody got paid off to say
Okay.
certain things.
That's-
Well, look at the way
lobbyists, bro.
science,
It's not. It's not bring lobbyists into this.
Okay, all right. Well, look at the words. they
Also, you
use.
can't get addicted to like flat Earth. Like it's not possible.
You've never gone down the rabbit hole.
Some people.
Gotcha.
Hey, bro, YouTube. You know, it's a rabbit hole.
But I mean, look at the way they talked. So, like, you would never talk the way they talked, right? They said coloreds back then. I mean, they were
Yeah, it's not
like a
acceptable at all.
forezzo. You know what I mean? Like they'd have like,
They said other words too.
well, no. But what I'm saying
Let's
is
not
the
get
people
there.
that are giving us that stuff of what to
Yeah, but
talk
scientists
like.
didn't say, "Oh, we need to call these people the N-word." Like that. Like that's
Well,
not.
they used to,
What the
though.
fuck
Exactly.
are you talking
Mike.
about, Mike?
Yeah, did you ever read?
Michael.
Did you ever read the
Michael.
old magazines?
That-
They
what
used
I'm
to call them
saying-
Negroes, and Negroes
Hey!
But that's
Necro.
not.
No,
that
that
was
came
not,
from Necro.
That's too
He's
close.
saying it in
Yeah,
Spanish.
but that was
It's
the
negro,
result of
negro.
like
He's
scientific
saying
study. That was the result of like people being like racist.
But that was
Yeah.
that was the newspapers and the
Yeah,
people
but-
that wanted to
But
get the
I
word
think,
out
I think
there.
you're
But it wasn't
conflating
like
you're
this-
conflating
yeah,
you're
yeah,
conflating
yeah.
science
With
to a
newspapers.
well yeah and maybe
Science
maybe
with
and maybe a
newspapers.
racist
It's not like
scientist.
well, that's where
Which
racism
probably did
came from.
exist. You know,
That's where racism
there's
came
science,
from. Was
and then there's a
Charles Darwin.
scientist that's racist.
Marin, that's where racism came from. Was from Charles Darwin when he
don't
came
know
up
about
with
that.
The Origin of Species. Because if you read the full title, it says The Origin of Species, favoring the white man over the savage race, because his entire philosophy was that Africans were like lower, and ever since the science developed,
but
Look it up,
racism
Rick,
is
look it
way
up.
older than
Yeah, I
that,
was
man.
gonna say,
Racism is way older. Wait,
Well,
you'll
I
see
mean-
racism in the Bible.
I'm
in
talking
fact.
about modern. I mean, well, yeah, there's the
Yeah, you
Jews.
see it. No,
And who freed the Jews?
Before that.
Who freed the
Before
Jews?
that.
Was Moses.
Oh my
was
God.
hey, remember
Before
the-
that.
So is the Earth flat? I don't.
Well, I'll go over some verses after the show.
So the Earth is flat or not?
So here's my debate with you. So all the ancients thought that the Earth was flat.
Yep.
Their math, and, well, not all of them, but the majority of them did. Their math, they use a flat plane to map the pyramids perfectly with Orion's belt. Now we're always told that we can't make the pyramids exactly. Actually, the last everything that I've watched and researched, and I'll say we can't line pyramids up anymore because of the way the Earth spins. And everyone's like, well, how'd they do it? Their math, they use a flat Earth. I don't know if it's flat. I don't think it is. But
Really?
what I'm saying is they do use the scientific method of the hole dropping on the horizon, and by your line of sight,
Yeah.
with a curved ball, you shouldn't be able to see something past a few miles because you lose 8 inches based on the curvature
The distance,
of
yeah.
the Earth.
How far you are from
But
the
they
object.
found out that they've proven this. I think the guy did it over 300 times. And all over the world, he traveled all over the place, and he used a telescope. And basically, the stronger your telescope, you can see the entire thing, and it doesn't lose 8 inches. So that's their proof. And light, as we all know, gravity distorts light, but it doesn't pull it. So like the light wouldn't bend down towards the Earth; it would distort it, so you wouldn't actually be able to see the whole thing.
Well,
So that's their science.
but
they're using.
the atmosphere does though.
Yeah, but the atmosphere,
distorts.
but nothing can curve light though.
Okay,
Light
well,
can't be curved towards the Earth.
Holy
Well, I mean,
shit.
you can. I mean, you can see it when you. I mean, it's a experiment from like elementary school. Come on, man. You got Come on. You got a glass. You have a glass full of water. You put a pencil in it, and where you are putting the pencil in, the actual light that's coming through all that fluid in the glass.
Yeah, it's
It
upside
refracts
down.
and it goes a different. The pencil looks like it's starting over here, and it's not once it goes through the
Oh,
water.
yeah.
So I mean, it's not the exact same thing,
No,
but
well,
it's
I know
but a
what you're
similar
saying.
principle.
Okay, so if there's a dot on, or if there's a
But we're not talking about a dot being
there's
like
a
way over
flag-
here. You're talking. I mean, I'm not talking about seeing something on the other side of the Earth. I'm. You
That's
know
what they're saying.
You know what?
If the strong enough telescope-
There's an experiment that they filmed in that documentary. Have you seen the documentary that's
the
in that's on
Morley
Netflix?
experiment.
No, on Netflix. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
No, Netflix is a globalist organization.
Hold on.
Ben.
Oh, we don't have time
Dude,
for that. We
dude,
don't have time for all that.
They filmed it themselves.
Netflix.
They filmed it themselves. They shot a laser,
out.
expecting it to hit. If it was a flat Earth, it was going to hit in an exact point. And the flat earthers did the experiment, and the laser hit off as you would expect if there was a curvature to it. And instead of being like, oh, you know what, we were wrong, it was like, well, there must be something wrong with our experiment. But that's exactly what you would expect
But see,
using the scientific
but-
method from what we know.
What does anybody gain by lying to us that the Earth is flat?
Well,
That's all
okay.
I'm saying.
Or that it's a globe.
Right.
Or that it's a
Yeah.
globe, vice versa, either or.
Well,
what does
okay.
anybody like gain?
So
from saying that it's a
Revelations, devil would that Satan would have a lie that deceiveth the whole world. So basically, the Bible has the most proven prophecies. It's over 600 that ever came true, based on Israel and how they're a nation, and I mean, they have the most proven prophecies. So it said that this would happen. That's why I'm not a huge. I think it might be a psyop too. That they're just trying to like confuse
Psyop?
people. Yeah. So a flat Earth psyop. I mean, go to the Flat Earth Society. They're just like they're this fallen. It's like they're just basically just a bunch of crazies that. But like a true flat earther would, as a guy, it's like I don't trust him. I want to see it for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
like the guy that just passed away because
by
he-
Mad Mike, yeah.
What was his name? God,
What was his name?
let's
Mad
pour
Mike.
one out for Madman
Mad
Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Mad Mike, dude.
Pour
this
him
guy
out.
was this guy was
We haven't done that in a while.
yeah, this guy was he was a flat earther who was gonna build his own rocket to like fucking launch himself up and get a view, and his fucking rocket just
Bro, it was psyops. Psyops shut him down.
just fucking exploded.
So how
bro.
do flat
Poor Mad Mike.
earthers explain being able to not? I mean, like if
To
if you're
circle
gonna
the
sail across the globe,
Yeah.
how do they explain like not falling off an Earth? Like if you're gonna, how do they
There's an
explain?
ice-
So
there's an ice
basically,
wall.
if you flatten their
Like in
their
Game of
argument
Thrones.
is
Exactly.
which I'll argue for them,
doesn't
but
exist.
I always argue for flat earthers, but when I'm with flat earthers, I always argue for globetards, as they
Yeah,
call
you're
them.
you're a contrarian. You're called a
Yes, yeah.
contrarian. Yeah.
So they believe that Antarctica is not a continent.
It's a ring.
it's the outer
crust,
limits
bro.
of the Earth.
okay.
Crust of the pizza.
So
Yeah.
the ancients also believed that we were enclosed by a thin layer of ice around the Earth. Whether it was flat or round, the ancients believed that because the stars, actually, there's a gospel of the stars they used to sing to us by the movements of the Earth. And it was this supposed beautiful song that no one ever heard. But anyway, so Antarctica is it's around, and the planet is basically smashed down, just like any military guys use. They flatten the Earth out, and that's how, because your north is still north, your south is still south, going towards Antarctica, and your east and west are just constantly.
Yeah, if you're looking at a
around.
map, right?
Yeah, it would
If-
still make
Yeah,
exact
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
All the latitude and longitude lines would still be exactly the same. You're still going north, still going south, east and
Okay.
west. And then the sun, they believe in the moon. I think they believe there's 2 moons, but there's the sun that just goes around like that,
In
and it's,
circles.
it's like what 50 miles in the sky or something
So
like that.
the sun
But
revolves
look,
around
so
us.
if you're
Yes.
in if you're
Okay.
in Tokyo, Japan, and you're gonna sell directly west,
Yes.
east, you'll sell directly east.
East.
You're gonna fall off the flat Earth at some point, right?
No, because
You're
the
gonna hit the
Antarctic
ice
ice wall. No, well, the ice wall.
But you have to hit the wall. Then when you just
Right,
turn
right.
around,
But they're
No,
saying
I mean,
that-
like,
well,
what goes
no.
on?
When you're mapping, you're always want to stay due whatever you're due east, due west. You're always staying in that direction. When you have a compass and you're sailing or flying, like they always stay in the direction they're meant. And if they go off by the latitude longitude, it tells them, oh, you're going too far south, and then you don't want to go south and waste gas. So like they
So why don't
stay.
they just ignore it and go straight to the edge to prove that there's an edge?
Well, okay, so their whole thing is, I don't know if you saw this, but
Fucking Mike,
that-
get him, Mike,
we're,
get him.
we're not, no one is allowed, which I think this is a little weird. I do think something's in Antarctica. It's most likely a continent. I believe the fallen angels are down there bound by chains of copper because it's their weakness. And that's just not me saying it, but I think that's where they are. But
Kryptonite, bro.
this is
Holy
look.
shit.
It's written down. It's in the text. The mountains. It's the highest point on Earth where the
man.
sun never sets. Anyway, basically, you can't go past. If you go to Antarctica, some cruises do go and flights go there. You can't go past a certain point, and there's 4 major countries there with air force with bases there.
So
And it's
they're
us,
protecting
Russia,
the edge of
Germany,
the Earth.
China. And we're the only ones that have bases there, and you can't go past a certain point, or
But
they'll
look,
literally shoot you
if
down.
you're in Tokyo, Japan, and you sail directly east,
Not even towards Antarctica.
yeah, you're just gonna go around. You're gonna eventually hit North America, and then you're gonna hit Europe, and then you're gonna end up in Asia again. You're never gonna hit Antarctica.
Right.
But if it was a flat Earth, you're gonna hit Antarctica because it surrounds the entire continent, or the entire, what are you gonna call it? The world? It
world,
surrounds
yeah.
the world.
Let me pull out a flat Earth.
No, no.
Do you guys get what I'm saying?
I get what you're
so
saying.
basically, no, you can fly from Tokyo.
Like if you were flying parallel to
But-
the equator, you would never hit
Yeah,
Antarctica.
exactly.
It's because the equator goes
no,
around the flat
equator
Earth,
goes
bro.
around it.
Have you not read the?
No, that's yeah. So you're not. So you flatten it, and the equator now is the line of the sun's
That's
line.
the sun. Yeah, that's what
That's
they
the
think.
that's the ring.
So
that the
they
sun
start
moves
off. Okay,
around.
so here's where flat earthers. So they start off with the physical world, and then they mapped out how the physical world works. The things that you can observe and they mapped it out to fit their own worldview.
Their own beliefs.
yes,
Yes. So they made the flat Earth map to account for the equator going around
yeah.
to the sun going around the equator, the moon moving around, and explaining the
So
tides
hold
and
on,
explaining
but-
this and explaining that.
So like what Mike said. So then how would they explain just sailing parallel to the equator? Like how does it?
The 4 bases, bro. You can't go past a certain point. Duh.
Okay.
The world's
What if you never
superpowers.
turn? What if you just put that bitch on gas and just fucking just
Well,
Exactly,
The
that's what
poles,
you
Don't
the
ever
poles-
turn.
The poles are the middle. The Arctic Circle is the middle.
And
Which
the edge.
the only person that ever flew over that was Admiral Dennis Byrd, and he was
And
on
he exploded.
on he was on a TV show where he's like, I flew over this thing. There's a huge hole that he saw. He was the only person to fly directly over the Arctic Circle, and that's where the whole Hollow Earth theory comes in, because he's like, there's this hole that it was like 2 miles wide of this just gigantic hole in the ground, where it was like they couldn't, it was so deep they couldn't see anything. And then he said he went to Antarctica, and this is on a live news. It was like a nighttime show. He said what a lot of people don't know, and he said is the next best exploration thing has to be past Antarctica. There's this tropical island with the most resources that no one has ever seen in his entire life, and it was literally just past Antarctica that they didn't get to, which I don't know why, but
But so
which some people say then real quick, that Antarctic Circle. Some Asians, there's ancient Asian maps. There's the 6 continents in here, because Antarctica is not a continent. It's the perimeter. There's 33 other continents outside of the Antarctic
Such
wall.
a specific number.
And that's what
So
and he
So,
supposedly
not
saw
32, bro. It's
a
33.
continent outside.
So
of
then,
it.
how do they explain like weather and climate?
No, no.
And how like northern hemisphere has
days and
different.
nights.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
how do they explain the footage that we get from the International Space Station?
Or how do they explain the?
How do they explain?
You believe that?
That's the curvature of the camera, bro. The camera adds curve.
It's
You can
fish
see
eye.
the
It's a
curvature of
lens,
the Earth
it's
when you're
a
high enough in an
lens.
airplane.
I mean,
dude.
well,
Like,
they
you
do
can
use
see
the
You can
the-
see it.
the
You can
curve
see
of
that
it.
motherfucker.
But they
We
that
traveled.
bitch
We
slow.
traveled a lot. We've seen it.
Hey, Mother Earth is curvy.
So
bro.
they showed the guys on NASA. There's a lot of this footage, and you can look it up. And this is what the guys do. They basically post how they edit what the Earth looks like. So when NASA gets pictures, they can't picture the entire Earth in
It's
one
the
picture.
the picture's too large.
They don't do that. Like
they have to
they
piece
can't
it
just take a
together,
picture of
is
the
what
Earth.
it's Yeah.
We wouldn't understand what we're looking at.
But either way, it doesn't
So-
look. It doesn't look at all like what the map.
Flat.
like not
Well,
even
what-
There
close.
is no ice wall.
So
in any
their
of the
whole-
pictures.
Very true.
Every year,
No ice
NASA
walls.
comes out with a picture, and what they did is scaled. They put them literally up perfectly to each other, and like certain continents are huge, and then the next time NASA puts up a picture, like North America is really small, and
Yeah.
then it's huge again, and they're changing the sizes based on their developers. And they found out that the guys that make the pictures for NASA, they're just basically painters, or they're digital artists, and they just basically kind of like develop it based on how they think it should look. So that's why the flat earthers
Well, they
don't
take
believe what
footage
they
and
say.
they put it together, but they don't. It's not like they're
Alternate.
omitting all of it. Like, you know what? Oh, this shot isn't gonna
Yeah,
work.
because
This,
because you would
this
catch
is
the
this
ice wall.
what this shot.
right?
This shot has
The
a ring
picture
on
would have
it.
the ice
This,
right,
an
right.
ice ring. That's not part of it. Let me just omit that.
Look at that centaur on that.
Delete.
Let me delete that ice wall.
Why are there 2 centaurs fucking over there? We better leave that out.
Okay, so
The world's not ready for this.
how do you guys feel? So my
We're going. Just side
gotta
note. We're
wrap
going
it-
on an
we gotta-
hour and 15.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up
We need to wrap
soon.
this up.
5 minutes. we're done.
Yeah.
5
aside
minutes.
from flat Earth and all this,
Yeah.
do
Final
you guys
remarks.
agree? Because I know a lot of people that if I bring up, hey man, well, you know, flat Earth, I'll like remember something and say something stupid just for the sake of conversation. I talk too much sometimes, but like, I honestly believe that. Like, if you want to believe the Earth is flat, I think, hey, that's a creative person that like he wants to do his own research and do his own thing. I'm like,
I
more
wouldn't
power
call
to
that
you.
person creative.
Yeah, that's not
Well,
what going
I
on.
would, but I would say, hey, do your own thing.
Yeah, for
It's
sure. You
America.
should believe what you want to believe.
Right.
Do what you want to do.
There's a lot of friends of mine are like, what? That's dangerous. You could like that could really endanger humanity and send us down the wrong hole. This, that, and the other.
Well,
And I'm like, no,
it's
because
it
you
is a
always
little
need-
it is a little
mean,
dangerous because
yeah.
you're instilling a distrust in proven science.
Yeah, I was gonna say there has to be some sort
True.
of like
So-
there has to be some sort of like baseline of like what reality is.
But
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
exactly right. But also, I see what you're saying. I agree with you. But on the other end of that, don't you always need the duality? You always need God. Let Satan rule, man. And Satan is the opposite of good. So you're always going to need that opposite to make you. Prove
I don't
more
know
so.
about that one.
You're always gonna
But
need-
I'm
you
not
always-
sure that
I
you
don't know if you
need it.
always need
Yeah,
it.
I don't know that you always need it. But it's definitely a good idea to challenge your own beliefs and to try and see the other, put yourself in the other person's shoes, and that's what we're all about here, trying to do like some self-reflection and see what you believe. Examine why you think the things that you believe, and really like question yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
why?
And Jimmy,
And
I
then-
mean, having you here, man, and just
Yeah, it's
talking about
definitely been
this is
interesting.
definitely
sure, dude,
and
for sure.
challenging what we believe. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's great. And you brought a lot of
Or we kind of
positive.
you kind of bring a different perspective to,
Yeah.
to things I've
Yeah.
never even thought of before, you know, and that's just cool. you
Hey
know?
man, philosophically, look it up. It's true in every realm. I mean, like maybe I'm not saying the right way, or because I'm only say it the way I know it. But what I say is, I'll read. I love reading about science. I love metaphysics. I love physics. I love reading about new discoveries and stuff like that. I always say this. I'm like, I read your stuff. Can you read because everyone I debate on the Bible is like, oh, I've never read it. I'm like,
Except
well,
for Marlon. Marlon's right.
like,
Yeah, I've read it quite a bit.
in a court of, yes, exactly. Well, it, like in a
but
court
you
of
understand
law-
each other. Y'all are cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, in a court of law, like, can you at least, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't even look at the evidence on my side. I've looked at yours.
Definitely.
I love this. Hey,
Yeah.
before we go, let's just wrap it up on this. Best oil for a hand job.
Oh, avocado.
Sentences.
Avocado oil.
Also, Black Friday.
No,
You guys-
No, we're not talking about it.
We're not
End
gonna
on
get
it.
into
Okay,
Black Friday.
Jimmy,
Look up Black Friday, people.
Jimmy's tip of the day. If you're gonna get a hand job and you're gonna use oil, what kind of oil?
Use avocado oil.
Are you pushing a
that's it.
specific brand?
So is that like a masturbation? Like
No.
No.
Hand
Is there a
job.
different
Only
oil
for hand
excuse?
job.
Strictly for a third party.
Only for hand job, right?
And
Exclusive
maybe a titty slam, too.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm all about,
I wasn't even thinking.
Well,
I don't even know what that is.
bring some avocado
oh,
oil to your
oh.
next titty slam, guys.
Man,
Alright?
it's when you grab the precious
We-
sweetness
we're-
between the...
Okay.
Oh, okay,
I think-
okay. I know what that is.
I think we should wrap
And
up
then
our,
you will see God.
our Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, this was definitely different from all the podcasts that we've done. And this is
we
amazing.
truly only had really one topic.
Yeah.
Which is totally different. But no, Jimmy, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
for
out
sure.
here.
Yeah, it was
Great, dude, man.
Jimbo.
Great hanging out with you. Thank you so much for coming up to Houston and doing this. And this was definitely a different kind of podcast for us, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
you did.
it was
You did.
fun.
Awesome,
sure,
guys.
man.
Thanks for listening to my rantings.
No problem. And just to reiterate,
I love Black Fridays. I eat avocados.
Nah, just joking.
And the earth is round.
No,
Good
just
night.
joking. If you have any topics or anything you would like us to talk about, or somebody that you want us to bring on, or some alcohol that you want us to try for you, the Well Mannered Cartel at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. What is the Instagram?
The well-mannered
The
cartel.
Well Mannered Cartel. At the Well Mannered Cartel. All right.
On
Thanks,
YouTube.
guys.
On
This was
YouTube.
Episode number 15.
Bye.
Quince.
Quince.
Jimmy, thanks again, bro.
Yeah. Keep chasing those wet dreams, Jimmy.
Keep chasing them.
Keep chasing.
Avocado oil.